I'm going to use the can opener. I'm going to cut off the leader on this, put it on the spool, load it up, cut it from the spool, do the same thing to this one. That's basically it, and cap it. I use these plumber caps. They fit perfectly and they tight. They're better than anything. 3.5 inch, no hub plumbers. Then I tie it up with a 532 wrench, a no hub wrench. Got 2 of them. Just
the one that comes with it, it just wear and tears after a while?
Yeah, where's it there? This has been going and going. They're plastic pieces and they stretch. And then they leak out.
That's right. They do leak from
this is not going to leak. When I tie that up, nothing's coming out of there. Okay, so why don't you kill the light right there? So I'm going to take the can opener, pry off the back end. Like a bottle top. Okay, so you cut these open, but I got a cap. Let's see if we go on there. I might be able to reuse these. That snaps on there and holds. I put a piece of tape on it to make sure it doesn't come off. See, it looks like what came off, but this is from an older cap, and it's got a rim. It might not work because this might have to be reformed. I'll play with it later.
Well, it sounded like it snapped in.
Yeah, it's almost there. Not quite.
There it goes.
No, this side just didn't come in. Like this.
And then by doing that, you could put your own film in there.
Yeah, I bulk loaded, and it comes out to $4 a roll instead of whatever. Now let's see if it stays. I got it on. Look at that. Wait, it's almost on. It's not quite there. Needs a little work. It might work. The Chinese ones work better because I reformed them. See, it's a little crooked here. It's not exactly on. But I'll save it.
You got to play with it, yeah. Maybe open it a little bit.
It's not bad.
No.
Oh, that's the bottom. That's the good side. That's why it wasn't bad. This side's a little crooked. But you see, the ones I'm using do the same thing like that when you buy them. And they're sealed on both ends. So I use a can opener. And then I put these, and I reformed. See, it's got a little more of a ridge. The Chinese ones. So it grabs. Then to make sure after I load it that it doesn't come out, I put a piece of tape on it. Then I mark the film that's in it because I use 3 different films. It goes right on. That's on there. See, but you put tape on it, a little piece of tape, because it could pop.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I've been using them again and again. So I have another type of cap from another type that might even be better for this. Let's just take a minute. I got them down here.
Yeah.
I'm so curious. I got all these old ones from 2012.
These are the cassettes you're talking about.
Yeah. But they see they begin to light leak and they're scratching the film a little bit. And they got this type. It probably won't work. But I'll try it. No, I don't think it's going to work. Is it just got a real...
No, I heard it.
Yeah, no, that's just clicking from snapping it around. It's not necessarily...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Nah. Sometimes if you take a pliers and play with this...
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just very, very gently. I got a jeweler screw pliers. And I could, if worse came to worse, I could go back to these. I bought these on buyouts in 2012. They were very cheap. And they were all metal construction. It was the last time I saw them online because people were switching from photography. Save the reels too. The rest of the stuff I can throw out. So it'll get going now. So after this film gets developed, dries, we'll go get some lunch. By the time we get back, it might be dry. And I bought a brand new timer. My other one was about 16 years old. So I bought one from China. Now, there's a bright red light in here that could fog your film in the dark. So I covered it up with tape. It's an on-off switch. I locked it in the on position, so it goes on from here now. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
So when I turn it on, okay,
yeah.
because that thing was putting out red light, and if your paper is coming across this way, you're going to blow the paper away. You're going to get streaks all over your paper and say, hey, what's going on? Okay. Let's get going.
Yeah.
So the first thing I do, I'm going to use the 8-ox Rodinol. My stuff could be a little bit too harsh for your film, for Tri-X. This one is a good one. It's a beautiful formula. I looked up the developing times for it online. It's 1 to 25 at 7 minutes.
Yeah, the Tri-X was a good deal online, so I'm like, let me get the Tri-X.
How much was it?
I think it was like nine something.
Okay, in the future, call me and I'll tell you what another film you could get for $6.50 a roll that's really good.
Yeah, I should have called you.
The nothing wrong with the Tri-X, but the Fomapan is very good. Fomapan's coming out of Croatia. I got Fomapan 100 I'm using, Fomapan 200 and Fomapan 400, and I could show you results. They're very nice. Okay, so I don't touch chemicals anymore since I got cancer. Oh man, the stories, these cancer stories are fucked up.
I know.
So, I'm gonna mix. I mean, I could do it in 500 milliliters. I'm gonna do it in 1,000. It's easy to measure. And looking at the chart, 1 to 25, 40 milliliters to 1,000 milliliters of water. I bought all these glass tubes from China, from Alibaba, very cheap. I got 2 of these for $5. I got this whole setup for like less than $10. In America, they charge you $10 more a piece. Got the whole thing. The thing is, they delivered it in a big plastic bag at the top of the steps. Luckily, nobody saw it, or they would have stole it. Then I bought one of these, real big. It was last year in December. It was stolen.
Oh.
They took it up the staircase. And the junkies can't use the fucking stuff they steal. They just steal it. They can't use anything they steal. They don't even know what it is.
They probably opened it up and said, what is this?
Yeah.
Who do I sell this to?
Check 40 milliliters. Just about going to make it.
40 milliliters for water of 1,000 milliliters.
Yeah. Yep. Just a little bit off. So what I'm going to do, we're going to add another minute, make it 8 minutes. Bring it up to 1,000. Okay. This one broke and these plumber's epoxy have been keeping it going for years.
Oh, yeah.
I've been using it for years. But I got so many backups.
Yeah, they're easy to tip over and break, yeah.
Okay, so I bring the film fixer over here, get it ready, line up everything, all your stuff. Put that here. We'll put the wrench over here to tighten up this thing once we get going. Okay, now, so we're going to go for 8 minutes. I'm going to turn off the light, pull this top off, pour the chemical in, put the top on, close it up, give it 1 minute of agitation, and that's it. You're going to use still development. So it allows It allows the shadows to come up with the highlights. I don't have to agitate it every 30 seconds with the system.
And many, the way they teach you is always like,
Right.
yeah.
But I don't do that. Sometimes I just use a stronger development or a longer development time, and that does it. Okay, so hit the light.
Yep.
So I'm opening up the tank.
Again, I just did it because it was the cheapest online. I'm like, all right, let me.
No, it's a damn good film. Don't get me
T-Max was like $15.
wrong. It's cheaper for them to make that than Tri-X.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, why is the knowledge on that?
They're just gouging. I looked in China. My friend said, "Oh, he has a lab." He says, "Oh, film's expensive to make. It's a lot of money." I said, "No, they're gouging." I go look in Chinese Fomapan. If you got to buy 3,000 rolls, $3.50 a roll. So somebody's making it for $3.50, and they're making a profit. It's like, they're gouging, man. They're gouging.
They can. There's only a few companies. It's not the competition is not what it was before.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's a.
But a lot of young people are coming back to it because they don't think the computer is the great savior or the great. They just like the chemistry and see the picture come up on the chemicals.
It lost its mystique a bit.
Yeah.
And I would use your word, going back to documentary.
Yeah.
It has soulless. There's no soul into the photos. And
Well, they're not teaching art. They're not learning art. When you go to art school, you learn about art. You learn about form. You learn about gesture. You learn about moment. You look at great painters. You look at other photographers. You look at what they've done. People who are masters. The people in the photo were these young Jewish immigrants that came to America that loved photography. They would meet up. They met on 20th Street, and they would talk all into the late hours of the night about photography, what the image means, how it's affecting you emotionally, what's the mechanics of the image. But they had no college education. You get to college education, and then you get another level. But they were doing great pictures on the street. They were photographing the immigrant experience. They were photographing what life was like in the 40s in New York, and they came up with some great images, just documenting things. But they had kids playing on the street. They had people on the roofs when they were hanging out. They were documenting everything, and they were doing a fabulous job. But then when you get to people who are college educated, and then they bring another element to it. Because they've read certain books, because they had certain experiences, they bring another experience to life, to art. You know, when I went to Art de Fried Studio on 3rd Street, first I was in the Boys Club. There was this guy who was living in the Boys Club and teaching us photography, but he wasn't necessarily, he wasn't a professional photographer, but he was using diafine at the time, which is a 2-bath system, gave you a lot of film speed. He's got this fireman coming out of a building, and he's doing it with a 2 1/4 camera. And I'm like, wow, look at the quality of those pictures. Look what's going on there. The moment he captured expressions on his face, the fireman's face, there was a moment there. Cartier-Bresson coined the term decisive moment. You're standing on the top of the staircase, and you're looking down, and a bicycle's zipping through. Or a man's jumping over a puddle, and he's stopped in space. Is he going? It's almost like he could be going backwards and forwards. They call that the apogee. You throw a ball up in the air, and it goes up, and it comes down, but there's a moment when it's motionless. It's called the apogee. So he's capturing decisive moments. You know, and he coined all these terms. And he comes out of drawing, comes out of art. He was an incredible draftsman, but he picks up photography. He's walking around with a Leica, you know, very fast. You just rangefinder, bingo. There's nothing. Phil Perkins would say, have as little between you and what you're doing, as little equipment as possible, so you just capture things. You could be instantaneous, you could be spontaneous. Would you kill that light? This way I just have to shut this one.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack. Painting. Then we have 40,000 years of painting. It's 40,000 years of work. Andre Malraux at the Metamorphosis of the Gods. He said in the 1850s, there was a break from the artists depicting gods and goddesses from all the religious art was like, that's what the artists did, religious art only. There was a split in the 1850s, and the artist went off on his own, started to photograph their personal experience, their ideas. Doesn't explain where that, he just talks about it in a vague way. It's not more specific than that. So that you got Van Gogh, and then you got Gauguin, both very strong religious artists, but they incorporated some of these ideas in their work. Van Gogh tried to be a minister, but he couldn't handle it, couldn't do it. Gauguin, they even had in their work all the parts of the Christian calendar in their pictures, but you couldn't tell because it was life experience pictures. They separated enough. They were the hybrids. They separated, but they didn't totally separate yet. Then it went further and further out. The Expressionists. Then you got all these different people. You got Vincent van Gogh. He's an expressionist. He's painting life experience in the fields, the workers, not religious anymore. They broke away from it. So there was a split there from that. But the earlier work, the religious work, boy, it motivated art. You go to the museum, so you understand all this, and you start seeing the paintings in another way. You start thinking, what's a photograph? What can I bring to it? What's my experience? What's that guy's experience? So when you go to art school, it brings out a personal experience. You're not necessarily going there to make a living. You're going there to learn another aspect of life. So parents didn't want to send their students to kids to Pratt. They're going to spend $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 for their kids' education. What are they going to walk away with? A kid who's going to make art? A kid's going to live the cheapest. but they may make discoveries if they do it that you won't make other ways about yourself and about life itself. It'll bring something to it. If you commit yourself to it and you put your nose to the grindstone, it'll take you someplace. But and everybody treats it differently. Everybody sees it differently. Everybody feels about it differently. It's all different human experience. So we got the fixer here. I'm going to dump this out. I'm going to put this, dump it in some water to cap so it gets clean. Shut the light.
That's right. You have it there.
Yeah. Dump this out. So for Arthur Freed, his photography was about everyday life experience. What happens in your life is the art. For Phil Purkis, who was a close friend of Arthur's, they both knew each other very well. Arthur brought Phil out to Pratt Institute to teach. At the same time, he brought me out to be a photo technician in January 1969. For Phil Purkis, art was where you are at a given time. That's what he taught his students. To check out where you're at. Where are you in your life? So you see, they both use the documentary style, but they have very different motivations as to what the photography was about. Mm-hmm. And I was more in the Arthur's camp. I walked into his studio and saw people waiting for a train, an elevated train. I never saw pictures like that before. It was an ordinary picture, but it's the way he describes it. It's the light, the moment, the way everything looks. It's a description. That's all it was. But it was the way he described it. In writing, if you could do that. James Joyce wrote about a butcher selling meat. He's talking about all kinds of meat that he sells. So all the people that come into the store, he sells meat. To the Jewish people, they won't eat pork, so he sells them certain meat. And then he talks about later on, the guy selling rotten meat to people. This is all made up in his head. Yeah. He's selling fucking rotten meat. It might make people sick or die. He's going to sell it anyway because he doesn't want to throw it out. He wants to sell it.
Did that a lot, though, right? They did that a lot.
They sell rotten meat.
Yeah. Mix it in with sometimes
good meat. You want to make
good
somebody sick? Sell them rotten meat. They'll get sick. The bacteria in there?
Oh
man.
Ooh.
So it's like you're reading this and it's all this descriptions come into your mind. Photograph has an ability to do that. For Eugene Smith, he was a voice for the voiceless and the people who are underdogs. Maud Callan, nurse's midwife. these people have nothing more than a nurse. And the part of, I think it was one of the Carolinas, North Carolina. They live in North Carolina, 1950s. She's it. She's delivering babies. She's bringing. There's no hospital. There's no doctors around. She's it. One nurse. He's got her walking on planks and mud, descriptive photographs, what her life is. And she's going to work, patting a man's head. The guy's in rags. He's living, his clothing is rags. She's patting his head, giving him love, solace, delivering a baby. Smith fell asleep with the camera and the flashlight ready to go. They stayed there till the woman gave birth, and then they waited all night. She was giving birth, and he wakes up and snaps the picture of her bringing the child out. This woman's doing everything. The people in Life magazine saw that. They gave her $27,000. She built an infirmary. She was training other nurses. There's a whole room full of nurses. Now she's training them. So photography can solve problems for Eugene Smith. Be a voice for the voiceless. Somebody who doesn't have a voice, who's, put down. Compassion, something that's missing in our society. So he uses art to solve problems. There's all different ways you could go with it.
Yeah.
It's infinite. Whatever you bring to the table is it. Some people don't have an idea of what to bring to the table, so they do nonsense. You got to say, after you look at their work, is this worthwhile? There was a master who left his students 7 years to live on their own in cabins and to do whatever they want with the mysticism he taught them. So he goes to one of his students. He goes, Master, after 7 years I've learned how to do this. I could walk on water. The master says to him, that's it? That's what you did with it? To walk on water? Photography is the same way.